Oscar and Ben, I'd like you to compare and contrast, if you will, the experience of migrants traveling into the European Union countries to the experience of migrants trying to get from South America and Central America to the United States, just in terms of the dangers that you're experiencing, or at least hearing from them.
Well, in some ways it's similar. I mean, there's similarities and differences, and that was kind of the reason for this trip was, as Americans, a lot of times we're tunnel visioned on the problems that we have. Europeans are the same way. They don't really know what's going on. We talk to people over here, and they don't realize what's happening at our southern border. So part of it is for us to understand and connect the dots. And it's also to educate people on this side, like, hey, it's a common enemy. The people that we're fighting against, the globalist, communist, leftists, are a common enemy. And what's the scary part about this is actually what Oscar found when they were up in Calais, France, right across from the UK. They were actually interviewing these guys from Sudan that were escaping. They were Christians that had escaped the Muslims that were killing them in Sudan. And well, what do you have with that? You have you have Muslims coming along with them. And everywhere we go, it was like I landed in Sweden, and that the very day I landed, there was an attack in Stockholm, Sweden, by people from Eritrea who were attacked by other people from Eritrea. And so what you have going on right now, the left is what they're doing, is saying everyone's welcome everywhere. And it's the exact same thing we have in America, where you have people fleeing from the cartels, people fleeing from the CCP, and then you have the CCP sending people along with the cartels sending people. And so what's really been created is global destruction by the United Nations, by all of these leftist NGOs, and all they're doing is profiting themselves. They're not helping anyone. All the way along the way, the people that we're talking to, the people that Oscar were talking to, they get raped. The women get, they get robbed. The women get raped, and it's just a disaster for everybody involved.
Gentlemen, do they see, when I say they, the folks, whether it be in Belgium or in Europe or where you are, do they understand the global implications of this? I mean, do they have any idea of the kind of the system that is running all of this? I mean, where are regular Europeans at on all of this?
From my experience, and I'll let Oscar jump in on this as well, they really don't. I mean, they have a sense of it from a European standpoint because Europe's so small geographically. Everyone kind of knows roughly what's happening in other European countries. But there's one thing that we see is a coordinated effort to keep the information out of the media across the board, the mainstream media across. It's almost entirely leftist media in Europe. So very little of the truth gets out, very little of the numbers when it comes to rapes and attacks on Christians, like we found out in France. Almost every single day Christians are attacked and the churches are attacked bi-weekly. So that information doesn't get out. But when it comes to what's happening on our southern border, there's almost zero understanding of it. They don't realize that what's happening to America connects to what's happening to them. I think that's why it's so critical. And there's a hunger for it. I had people come up to me and say, we need your media. We need Real America's Voice in Europe. And so there's definitely an opportunity for networks like ours to reach out and say, hey, let's come together. Oscar?
What we saw in the Netherlands was that a lot of the citizens is that they are afraid to come out and fight the environmentalists. They know that what is actually happening in terms that they are hijacking their freedom. But when you ask them and you tell them, hey, can you come on camera and can you explain that? They immediately say, oh, no, everything is okay. We are for the environment. We are for this agenda. So it's being rubbed through their throats to obey and to basically submit into this global agenda. That is the bad thing about it. That is why the West needs to stand up, and the United States of America needs to be the one that sets the example for the whole wide world. As always, the United States saves, the freedom, and that is what they need to do.